Bird, 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 bird. Yeah! Ron Babe was right. Ron Babe was right.
I'm feeling spry. Hey everybody, it's Ron Bain with the Hunting Dog Podcast. It is Saturday, the 20th of March. Yep, the 20th of March, and I'm letting this go on a Saturday. Isn't that amazing? I told you it was going to be very inconsistent this month. One of the reasons I'm getting this one out is it's very specific to conservation. I've had Ben Jones come back on, and we kind of did a look in the rearview mirror and a look out the front windshield of the Ruffed Grouse Society, what happened last year through COVID, what directions they've changed, what progress they've made. For you RGS and grouse hunters, or you want to be grouse hunters someday, pay attention. We have a lot of work to do, but it's getting done. I don't know if turning the corner is the right word, but we can see the corner. We really can, and we don't want to ignore the corner. No more than I want to ignore my Patreon patrons. They are my biggest sponsor, my oldest sponsor. And I can't thank you guys enough, and you girls enough. Always thank the girls first. I'm old school, women first. But anyway, the Zoom room, we've touched on that before. We get a nice attendance every other Thursday. We do a Zoom room. All Patreon people are invited to go. I know it's hard to do. I know some of you even ask me, can I record them? And you know, I actually have recorded a couple Zoom rooms, and I listened back to them, and it would be aggravating to listen to as a podcast because, you know, sometimes somebody's wife or kids are jumping on their microphone when they run through the room, and then we have to figure out who to mute. And it's kind of comical. It's one of them things you got to see in person to understand how kind of confusing it is. And, you know, I don't run it like, you know, even though Roof runs the door sometimes for me, we don't run everybody on mute. And it just doesn't come up. So try to make a Zoom room. And one of the things I'm going to tell you, you know, I'm pushing our new project, Justin McGrail and I, our 15-month filming project is come to fruition. It's almost ready for sale, but the website's been updated, uplandinstitute.com, and you can see some of the trailers that match up to the courses. Previously, you could just see a little commercial we did, and now we've got the courses, the prices, and accompanying video to go with that. So check that out. There you go. That's something you can do in the meantime. And I will tell you that anybody who does sign up for this ought to be a patron, because there will be extra content for Patreon patrons. There will be more access. Now, we will have access, but you'll have more access if you're one of them. And then, of course, if you're a patron, you can get my title sponsor, Pike Gear. You can always get you can always dip your beak, you know what I mean? Wet the beak a little bit. You can do better than the average listener if you want some Pike Gear. That is technical clothing for the upland hunter. They've still got some new stuff coming out. I keep checking with Brent every week. He's like, yeah, next week I'll have you come on. You'll try on the new pants. And I'm like, come on, hurry up. They're almost there. And you'll hear me ranting and raving about that. But right now, you got their gloves, you got the hat, you got the vest, you got the Tongass line, you got the Kiowa. You got plenty of stuff to pick from, but there's new stuff coming down to Pike. Gunner Kennels, same way. Can't tell you what it is. You know, 6 months ago, I was hinting toward the food crate. I've got a trip planned coming down to Tennessee soon, and we are going to have a great podcast with Addison and the folks down at Gunner Kennel, what they're doing, where they're going, what we're going to see next. But whatever it is, it's going to be built like a damn tank. It's going to be guaranteed for life. They don't make something that they have to worry about you sending back to them. The only thing that would ever happen with any of their products is if something failed, a hinge, a button, a bolt, hey, it's replaced. They'll send it to you. Or if there's a problem with the box, guess what? Guaranteed. Yeah. It's kind of like Purina Pro Plan. I had an email a while back, and I couldn't answer it for this fella. And the neat relationship I have with Purina, like I do almost all my sponsors, well, actually not almost all my sponsors, all of my sponsors, is I send an email, I copy that, forward it to my contacts, and boom, I get an answer. And this was it's not worth going into the details, but Purina, I don't know if you can guarantee food, but it's as close as you can come to guaranteeing your dog's health and fitness and everything else it needs for the hunting season, off-season, training season, snowshoe season. Doesn't matter. Year-round. Feed the same food. And that's a little tip. I don't change foods. I don't change ingredient. I don't change percentage of fat versus protein. I just feed a little bit less when they're not working and a little bit more when they are working. Just like humans. Yeah, right? And just like humans who take supplements, boy, I am segueing my ass off here. Just like humans who take supplements, Wilderness Athlete came up with Canine Athlete. So they have supplements for your dog, new dog, hydrate and recover, probiotics. They're taking care of that little minutia, those little things. Like if you're that person who likes to, please don't ever drink a Monster Energy drink. I know some of you do. In fact, I've seen you do it because I saw you at White Lake Hunting Lodge. I've seen you at Ruffed Grouse camp together. I've seen all that. But that being said, if you want something for your body, look at the Wilderness Athlete products. If you want something for your dog, look at the Canine Athlete's products. They have everything you need, just like Onyx Map has everything you need. There is nothing. I don't think there's anything you can do. I don't think they have an app for like fencing or jousting or anything, but they have got more layers than a birthday cake. From burn layers to bike layers to boat launches to hiking trails to off-road. Onyx Off-Road is a whole nother system. There's a gazillion people out there that spend their weekends just off-road and side-by-sides. Onyx Map came up to them and said, you need this too. Not just hunters, not just fishermen. Yeah, everybody needs it. And when you're out on these adventure, you should be wearing a pair of gum leaf boots, because especially if you're off four-wheeling, you're going to put your vehicle into some kind of a freaking mud hole, and you're going to ruin your boots and your pants. You might as well wear your gum leaf boots while you're out off-roading with Onyx Maps. So go to Gumleaf USA, see what he's got. We've got, everything is. I can't find ammo. Talking about ammo. Well, we'll get to ammo in a minute. It's even hard to find Gumleaf boots right now. They're coming in, they're trickling in, and the orders are doubling in. So see what Jack's got left. If you're a Patreon patron, send me an email to Ron B at the Hunting Dog Podcast. You can send it through Patreon too, but I get them quicker on my phone. And I can send that email off to Jack, and he will find a little something. Just like Brent will find a little something with Pike Gear. Oh, yeah, he'll find a little something for you. Garmin, I can't help you. I can't find a little something for you with Garmin, but I can tell you it is the best dog training equipment made on the planet. I go out on a limb and say probably in this universe, the 9 planets that I'm aware of in the sun, guaranteed you are not going to find a better training collar, tracking collar. I told you, I can never stop talking about it. My Instinct watch hooks up to all my gear. I know where my dogs are. I know what time it is right now. I'm at 74 beats per minute, and let me click on that. Blood pressure 129/50. Pretty damn good for a guy smoking a backwoods cigar and drinking a beer, isn't it? Not bad. CZ USA just sent me, I told you last week, these 2 beautiful Bob Whites with English stocks and double triggers, a 12 and a 20. New favorite gun. I have not shot the 12 gauge. I haven't even assembled the 12 gauge, but I did take a few test shots just to feel the kick. It's a field gun. If you're going to get into the world of skeet and trap and sporting clays, CZ's got every gun you could possibly need, from auto loaders to break opens, single, double triggers, rib, no ribs. And you can take even a Bob White, you can order a custom Bob White. You could bump the wood up another grade. You could have a different rib on it. You could have a little more engraving. People don't even realize that. You can do that with a CZ. If you'd have been in the Zoom room when Dan Holder was on, talked all about it, you wouldn't have missed out on that fact. So I thought I should share that with you. And I will share this with you. Adam from Backridge Ammunition, and that's the craft beer of non-tox ammo. He's concentrating on turkey right now. He has to. Components are like hen's teeth right now. Concentrating on turkey, and right after that, they're going to concentrate on the upland season, because we know it's going to be here. Sounds like a long way off when it's only March, but I'm telling you what, dove season opens the 1st. of September. So be there with Backridge. Well, that might be a little expensive. Yeah, you're probably not going to use Backridge for dove. I will, because I'll just have them load me up some regular lead. But go to Backridge, check out their stuff, get ready when it comes out. I'm telling you, don't wait, because this is across the board with other ammunition companies that you know of and hear of. This stuff can't stay on the shelves. I went to go pick up these 2 guns from Port City Pistol over here in Muskegon, Michigan. And Mark answered the phone like 9 times while I was there filling out the federal paperwork. And he just answers the phone like this. Nope, maybe Monday. Hello? Nope, maybe Monday. That is what's going on with ammunition. So when you can find it, buy it and buy some Backridge for next hunting season. Walton's. Now, Walton's is not officially a sponsor until April 3rd. But that's okay. They sent me the sausage stuffer. They sent me the seasonings. My daughter Jessie and I are going to start doing some videos. And I'm just telling you, check out Walton's. Everything but the meats. Check out their spices. They got this really nice YouTube channel. It's called Meatgistics. Check out the Meatgistics in the time. In a couple weeks, I'll tell you a little bit more about Walton's. And I'll see what we can do for you. That and Shooting Sportsman. Shooting Sportsman magazine. That's right. We're going to have an ad in Shooting Sportsman magazine. We're going to partner up with them this year, coming this spring. And where I'm going to go to meet them for the first time. We've had Zoom calls with Terry and Ralph, the higher up echelons of the Shooting Sportsman magazine that's published in Maine. Well, we are all going down to the Side-by-Side Classic in Sanford, North Carolina. I'm gonna hobnob with all those gun companies that come down there and all them purveyors of best guns, and I can't wait. I've been to the Southern Side-by-Side maybe a decade ago. No, not really. Maybe 7-8 years ago. It was a great event, but it is bigger, it's better, and it's back. It's COVID-free. Things are opening up thank God things are opening up. So hey, if you want to look up the Southern Side-by-Side. I believe, if I'm looking at my dates right, it is April 23rd, 4th, and 5th. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to bring my buddy Bill Walters. He is the man who got me into English double guns and the love of a good break-open gun. It's where my offshoot into drillings went. It's where my passion for CZ comes from. I love a great break-open gun. I love the feel of it, especially I'm a side-by-side guy. Sorry, I am. So there's a lot of stuff coming up this year, and I'm excited. And that was only... Well, that was 12 minutes, and plus the little intro you're going to hear. Sorry, it's what it is. Check out the uplandinstitute.com. There's some new videos up to show you the courses and the prices, and then hang on to your seat and get your checkbook out, because Ruffed Grouse Society is going to need your help too, just like everybody else. I love you guys. Love you girls. Talk to you soon. There we go. It wanted me to record into the cloud. Like I'd be able to access the cloud, Ben.
You're up in the clouds. Come on, man.
I'm up in the clouds a lot. Anyway, everybody, this is Ron Bain with the Hunting Dog Podcast. I am on the phone with my friend and fellow dove hunting partner, yet to be grouse hunting partner, Ben Jones from the Ruffed Grouse Society. I haven't talked to him in a while. We wanted to catch up, see what 2020 was like, what 2021 is coming, and everything from what he's wearing to how his dog's doing. So, welcome, Ben. How's it going?
It's going well. Ron, it has been a while since we talked. 2020 flew by. Of all the things about 2020 that'll go in the books, I think one overall, maybe thankfully, is time just flew by. Maybe not necessarily because we were having fun, but the time flew by. So it's good to catch up with you.
It kind of kept your nose to the grindstone, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, I did actually my setter pup from this Michigan line of dogs turned 1 year yesterday. So that was a big part of the year, having a young setter puppy in the house.
Any birthday cake or candle or cupcake, or did you do anything esoteric for the dog?
Yeah, she got a couple of biscuits with a little bit of peanut butter in between them, like a little biscuit sandwich.
Oh, like an Oreo almost.
That's right. That's right, with a little bit of peanut butter in between.
And if the dog had thumbs, he would have twisted the biscuits apart and licked it first, just like I did with Oreos.
To tell you where I'm at with that, and dog years, the peanut butter was out because I was giving my old dog his pain pill. So I just smeared a little bit between two biscuits for her birthday, and the 10-year-old got his pain pill because they were outside in the spring weather yesterday just carrying on, and he could barely move.
And he still thinks he can carry on.
He's like, oh man, I'm hurting. So I helped him out last night.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, give us a little upside downside of last year and stuff with RGS, Ben.
All right. Well, you can steer me in this. It just about a year to the day. It was March 11th, and I was looking through some old posts on Instagram, and there's a picture I posted of me in an aircraft on March 11th. And man, that was it. When on that plane and getting the news reports what was going on with COVID, that was when we made this decision to shut her down. So when that plane hit the ground, that's the last time I've been in the air since. So everybody knows what's happened since then, but recalling back to our early conversations, our priority and our goal was to come out of COVID and all the things that it was going to make really difficult. We wanted to come out of COVID better than we entered. Yeah. And so when I take that 30,000 foot view again, despite the bumps and the bruises and dusting off your pant legs, by God, we did it. And it was not without bumps and turns.
Are you saying there was some turbulence though in that plane from that 30,000 view?
My turbulence. But I think setting that goal from the start kept us from just hiding under your desk, that we had a goal that we're going to get better. So we stayed bold on some things. We knocked back costs and we identified opportunities. Okay, we're not going to be able to do events. We've wanted to get some other things going. Let's bring those things forward because nobody's planning events. So let's get some other stuff going. We're not traveling, so there's a reduced cost. How can we save some money and invest in other things?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was useful in those day-to-day decisions to say, hey, we're not just going to ride this thing out. We're going to come out of it better. And I think that was important for us.
Well, and on top of that, when this thing all came down for everybody, you already had other plans for 2020, right? I mean, there was other initiatives that you were doing with positions and planning and right down to hiring in the office. Those things kind of had to take place in parallel, yet then you had this finger in the dike, one arm over there and and one arm over here signing the check, right?
Yeah, that was it. We were ramping up for some changes in our business model going into the year. And the interesting dichotomy there is COVID made bringing some of those changes to the front easier, and it made other ones much harder. So You're right. It was plugging the dike here and filling up the tub there. And but overall, again, our mission central was let's come out of this stronger and not just whimper about it. Let's come out.
Right.
Let's knock a few teeth out of this thing while we're fighting.
I always, whenever I've used this analogy before, and it's kind of appropriate to you. Do you remember the old movie Airplane with Leslie Nielsen?
Oh yes.
And then what was that other guy that was in the control tower? Lloyd Bridges, right? And when this is all going down, he says, "I picked a bad day to quit smoking. I picked a bad day to quit." And I'm thinking of Ben sitting at his desk going, "I picked a bad year to apply to RGS."
Yeah. What was I thinking?
What was I thinking? Oh man.
Yeah, there's for me personally, there were a lot of parts of this that were reminiscent of the work I've done in the wildland fire world, where you're operating in a pretty high stress environment, but you have an end goal and you're working to get to that end goal, although it's pretty consistently high stress. So I feel like the work I did in the past in the wildland fire world actually was pretty helpful in all of this.
And is that because it's like you're going in a direction you didn't see coming, or you knew what you had to do even though other people didn't think you should be starting fires? I'm doing that as a real
Yeah,
basic.
no, both. I think the biggest thing in Wild and Fire is you have to be moving in a certain direction, but always prepared for things to change and change rapidly,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes change drastically. And you've got to be able to respond to that with that same end goal in mind. So I think the similarities are a lot of the unknowns. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're working a large fire, it can throw a lot of different curves at you. And that was really similar to 2020. We couldn't plan for a whole lot of things. Early on, it was like, well, are we going to be back on the road within 3 months
Yeah.
or 2 years? And that was the range we were working in. So we just
Yeah.
had to be really adaptable and
Yeah,
roll with
right in the
the
middle
punches.
of it, that's where you started hearing you hear the same people who grouse about other things. Those same people said, "We're going to be wearing masks until 2025. I'm telling you right now." I'm like, I don't know if you're
Didn't it?
really that sure of that,
Well, it felt like that sometimes.
It did.
Goodness.
It did. A buddy of mine that Roof in
Yeah.
Chicago, his family is very, very COVID cautious. Now he's in a very densely populated neighborhood, and
Yeah.
it's a chunk of Chicago basically. It's a suburb, and him and I talk literally, if not 7 mornings a week, 6 mornings a week since March. He gets in his because he doesn't have an office to go to, kind of like you now, right?
Yeah.
So his commute is no longer part of it. So every morning when he gets in his truck, he just drives around. He calls it neighborhood watch, and we sit there and shoot the shit. And
Yeah.
he took it. He was like not one of those guys saying we're going to be wearing. He's like, this isn't going to be over. This isn't going to be over. I'm like, how about a little optimism here, Roof?
Yeah.
But he's in this neighborhood where like you can't get 6 feet away from people hardly, right?
Yeah, sure.
And it was so funny. My family, as soon as we could, we kind of got back to normal on a house front. But
Yeah.
then in the big picture, we had to act like everybody else. And
Right.
there's a lot of analogies there.
Yeah. No doubt. Even going forward with the summer, we want to be able to jump on the opportunity to get back out, but that bar is still kind of moving too. If you remember back a couple months, end of spring, we're going to be rocking. Now it's kind of July 4th. So we want to be able to pounce on the opportunity because everybody's dying to get out. I'm dying to get out.
Right.
And be able to offer different events and ways for people to get together, but still, I'm once bitten, twice shy. We've had enough cancellations over the past 12 months that
Yeah.
a little reluctant to start planning too many events, although while we are starting to plan events, and we're doing it with assurances that even if things go south again, we're doing them outside, so they're going to be more resilient to some of those things, different from we're all getting together indoors.
Yeah. And Ben, I'm not up on chapter, a member, but I don't get involved with a particular chapter. So there are chapters that are saying we're going forward, but our plan B is we're going to have a circus tent outside. Is that kind of what they're going to have a banquet? Is it kind of a set thing yet? I know you don't get involved with every chapter, but
we're doing a lot of that as plan A. And this has been one of those things. Okay, so there are all these uncertainties. Let's do some things that are a little more resilient or a little more bulletproof. That, okay, worst case scenario, nobody's allowed indoors again. Let's just plan something outside. And this is one of those things that we needed to change anyway, because we knew from surveys and hearing from our members that things like outdoor barbecues and
pint nights and
outdoor events, dog training days, our shoots are really popular. So people wanted to do that outside stuff anyway. We're coming on in the summer. They're more COVID proof than getting together in a banquet hall. So those are the kind of things we're encouraging chapters to go forward with.
And the only sad part of it is the average age of an RGS member, they've probably already had their shots.
I'm wondering about that membership wise, how many of our members have had their shots. We're starting to see it now with staff, that some of our staff are getting vaccinated. So there definitely is an end in sight.
Yeah. What for you personally, I mean, are you still in the office? I mean, in the home office? Is RGS everybody still, working from home and doing their job?
Yeah, everybody's still working remotely. We have some people going into the headquarters office on staggered entries and getting the mail and taking care of things like that. But for me, I think a lot about the safety of everybody else, because at this point, my kids are in school.
Yeah.
They're doing in-person school 4 days a week. So if I'm just locked down here by myself, or we're all here as a family pod by ourselves, we've got some assurances that, yeah, man, we're clean. We haven't been anywhere.
Yeah.
With the kids going to school 4 days a week, I'm still erring on the side of caution.
How about the new hires last year and an initiative
Yes.
with give us a little guts of that. How's things going?
Yeah, that's one of those things when you look back, you say, man, we made a bunch of progress. So even with all the challenges of COVID, in May, we hired a forest conservation director specifically for the Southern Appalachian region, Nick B. Miller. And this is the first time that RGS has had a position committed regionally to the Southern Appalachians. That's a really important region for us. Of course, there's a really rich bird hunting, grouse hunting culture there, but it's also at the forefront of places where we've got to get habitat work done if we're going to make sure that those birds persist in the mountains of North Georgia and Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, Southwestern Virginia. So Nick B. Miller came on in May. And so in his first 9 months or so, he's getting all the ducks lined up in a row. And this is how our new model works, is he's working agreements with the Forest Service, because in that country, national forests are so important. It's huge chunks of ground. And so at this point, Nick has around $2 million in grant applications in. So he's getting the grants in, he's getting the agreements with the Forest Service to be able to fund this work. And already he's hired his first forest technician, forest wildlife specialist, who's working on private lands through one of those grants. So Charles Fairs is now working with Nick, delivering forest management programs to private landowners in Western North Carolina. So this is that idea of this program build out, where we started with Nick. He's the forest conservation director. He applies for, gets funds, working with the Forest Service and other sources. Now he's hired his first person to help him out. So that means business is good.
Yeah.
For Nick. And John Steigerwald has continued working up in the Great Lakes states. Something significant for John, he just was able to pull down a $1.9 million grant from Lessard Sam's Outdoor Heritage Fund. And this is interesting, Ron. It's part of what's called the Moose Collaborative.
Moose.
Right. It's
As
moose.
in the big moose.
Yeah,
Okay.
those. Bullwinkle.
Okay, it's not an acronym for mini, over the top. So
No,
okay, it's
no,
not an acronym.
This is the story of the moose and the grouse.
Okay.
And you and I have talked about this a lot, that ruffed grouse are this bellwether, but there are all these other different wildlife, many of which we hunt, that depend on the same types of forest management. So here's an example of that, where the Ruffed Grouse Society is heading up the Moose Collaborative, because it's a lot of that same forest management, forest restoration work that benefits ruffed grouse and moose and lots of songbirds and whitetails and all that stuff.
Right.
So that was a big grant score. Over the next several years, we'll have $1.9 million or so to spend in Minnesota.
And so are we saying that if we could just have more moose, we'd have more grouse? Is that what it comes to, Ben?
You know, there are a lot of parallels between the moose and the grouse. That need for young forest habitat, different ages of forest mixed up on a landscape, a lot of similarities. Some of their sensitivities to climate change. So
Same thing, huh?
there are a lot of things that go hand in hand, not just in the upper Great Lakes, but also in the Northeast. So jumping over there, I think he's got 4 or 5 weeks under his belt now. We brought on Todd Waldron, and Todd is a guy with 20 plus years of experience working in forest management with a wildlife focus. He's worked on investment properties. And if listeners want to check it out, they can go read about Todd on our blog off of the RGS website. So glad to have Todd on board. He brings a wealth of forest management knowledge. He's actually, I saw something just recently that he's got an update of all the forest management opportunities in the Northeast, but you can check that out on our website as well. So
I got to
We're
say
getting people in place.
it's refreshing, and you know me, I can't ever keep things on a completely somber note, right?
Yeah.
But since I've been with RGS and talked to you for a few years,
Mhm.
and I always hear the warbler, right? The warbler. I'm sorry, it doesn't resonate. Now you connect it to moose. I think we're going to get a whole nother demographic here. I connected. Nothing wrong with the warbler. I'm not anti-warbler.
Yeah.
I'm warbler curious. But
Yeah.
moose, come on, that's mega. That's charismatic megafauna there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, if you had a billboard and it said donate to save the warbler, I'm thinking some people are gonna. But if you had a big billboard that says save the moose, you're gonna get more donations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever we need to generate interest and awareness in the forest management work that needs done. And Ron, how many times? Who are you working with? Oh, the Ruffed Grouse Society. People that in my home state of Pennsylvania, it's the state bird. People don't know what a ruffed grouse is. So if it takes moose to bring this message home, hey, wherever you're at, man, I'll meet you there.
If we can get him on the commercial on Super Bowl weekend, that's it.
Yeah. I said this before with whitetails. If I'm going to 1,000-acre property or 100-acre property and laying out a management plan for whitetails or ruffed grouse, those management plans are going to be very similar.
Right.
Very similar. And the same is true for moose and warblers. For the warbler fans,
we don't want to exclude the warbler fan.
That's right.
What I did a little, it's a little. We just did a timber sale here on my property this year.
Yeah.
And then two of my neighbors to my west and a little bit south, they knew the loggers were here and they came and talked to them. So they did a little bit over on Nick's property and then a little bit over on Wayne's property.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it migrating to my north. That neighbor wasn't against logging. He just didn't have enough trees to.
Yeah.
He didn't think it was worth it, even though he's got a giant wood boiler that sucks down cords of woods by the week, right?
Yeah.
I told him he can have my treetops, anytime he wants, go out there and get my treetops. And now what I want to do is get involved with a forester or somebody that can tell me like, okay, now what to do? Do I start, because a timber sale, they're taking the value, the dollar trees out of there. And then I've got to get on with somebody who can say, okay, let's take some more down. Or you've got enough sunlight coming through to get some popple coming through or something like that. So that'll be my personal goal for the next few years is to try to, I know there's a grouse. I can hear it once in a while. It's about a mile from my house over by the pipeline. And I want to hear him drumming in my backyard here before I go.
There you go. And you just hit on something that's key for a mode of thought for us. So what you did there is one of the things that enables greater amounts of scaled up habitat occur. You've got that logging operator working at your property. So they've invested a lot of time in getting that equipment there. Now they can go and work on your neighbor's property, even if your neighbor doesn't quite have as much valuable timber because they've already invested in moving all that equipment. So you start thinking of working with landowners in clusters like that.
Yeah.
And harnessing the market forces to be able to get that work done by working in clusters. And there's an example right now that we're working on, and this happens to be on state land and private land in north central Pennsylvania. But this is an example of this overall thought where we've got operators who have invested in equipment.
Right.
Markets for this type of wood are doing okay right now. So we want to keep those guys working. They've got to pay the note on that $1 million piece of equipment.
Right.
And so we want to keep them working. So what RGS is doing to grease the skids is trying to cluster those landowners, not just private, but also getting with the state saying, okay, you've got this much acreage. It's in your forest management plan to be harvested. Can we help hire interns to help mark the timber? How can we grease the skids to keep these folks working in the woods and keep that habitat management getting done? So what you did on that scale at your place by having the operator there, and then they were able to hopscotch to two other neighbors, that's totally scalable. So that's
I can picture that. So on a bigger scale, this can just happen on a bigger scale.
Absolutely.
I will
Clean
tell you though,
concept.
I did profit from it personally because Wayne and Nick did not have, the size of a log skidder and the I don't want to call it the damage, but the way it tears up and makes its own trails through the woods.
Mhm.
They didn't have a way to get the logs out in a log truck on their road. So they asked me, in fact, he had to put down, when you talk about the expense, they
Mhm.
had to come in with these giant wooden, what would you call them? Pads, bolted
Essentially
together.
temporary bridges. Yeah.
Yeah, like a temporary bridge because we had a gas pipeline.
Yeah.
He had to get a hold of the gas. So once that was across there, that gave him access to the back of my property, and then it gave him access to Wayne and Nick's property. But then they had to ask me, Ron, is it okay if we haul the logs out through your property? And I did gain 3 cases of beer from that. So
There it is.
I mean, I almost felt guilty. I should have just said, of course. And I said, there will be a toll. And the toll was some beer.
But with that opportunity, everybody benefited
Everybody
from it.
did.
The operator was able to get to the wood. Your neighbor was able to get the work done. You got something you were interested in. And here's another example that I'm going to hopefully go look at later this week. Had a landowner with about 100 acres contact me. So you always just have to be thinking of these opportunities, not just that 100 acres, but what else lies beyond it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know that this landowner butts right up to a huge chunk of state forest that the forest has difficulty accessing. So when I go meet with this landowner this week, I'm going to say exactly the same thing. Hey, we might be able to get better market prices for you if your land is access to that state land
Sure.
where the state can put up a sale. And so then they're sharing that mobilization cost.
Mm-hmm.
But so this is the mode of thought we need to be in, is always thinking strategically and identifying those opportunities. Not, I have a sidebars, blinders on. You can see me, Ronnie. I'm putting my blinders on. You got me in video. And saying, here's 100 acres. Take the blinders off and say, what's that 100 acres of potential portal to?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can scale up. So yeah, you saw all those things happening with
on a little mini scale. Yeah, 2 neighbors
right.
like, hey, I didn't know you were logging, And
I
then
didn't know you drank so much.
Now, where I made the mistake was I should not have let the logger actually bring the beer from their property to mine, because I don't know what happened to it. Okay,
yeah,
I got a feeling that somehow went on his truck, but I was okay with that.
Sounds like a great project.
It was fun. Yeah, and we even got, my wife when I built this place, I was so excited to come from the city into this, I guess it would be a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th gross oak forest, right?
Yeah.
My wife says, she goes, there isn't a good looking tree on this property. Well, not to her, it wasn't, but to me, it was a lot of density, right?
Yeah.
But then, fast forward 30 years owning this property, it wasn't, I told you before, the grouse used to hit our front window. And on a regular occasion. And like I said, my goal is either hear one drumming or hear one break its neck on my picture window again.
Well, you made the first step. Let's hope he doesn't break his neck. Let's hope he finds your clear cut there.
Yeah, let's hope he doesn't look through those double bay windows from the front to the back of the house again. So it's so grouse like too, for that grouse to try to get away from something, whether it was a hawk probably, and look through our front window and see our back window, which are completely lined up.
Oh yeah.
And he probably said, "Oh, there's my path." Right.
Clear line of sight.
I felt kind of bad. Although they ate well. There was no shot to pick out of them. I'm hoping between that and a neighbor on the other side of the road did some logging. Is this going to be a destination spot? No, but it's going to be better than it was for sure.
Yeah.
Even for the warbler.
Well, we work closely and we have a formal partnership with the American Bird Conservancy, and with the window collisions, that of course is a big deal with birds, and woodcock are migrating right now. And so this is something you even see in cities with migrating woodcock running into skyscrapers and hitting windows. But I wonder, so there's some recommendations you see where you put a silhouette of a hawk on your window.
Okay.
That helps prevent some of those collisions. And I wonder if that works for grouse. It certainly wouldn't hurt, and it would keep other stuff from running into your window.
Wouldn't hurt anything.
Works good for songbirds.
maybe even just a picture of, anything. Just I'll do it like a bird feed. No, that wouldn't work. Anyway, I'll come up with a decal, maybe like the Hunting Dog podcast, and you put that on your front window. Save a bird.
Yeah, maybe the pointing dog would steer them. The point with that hawk silhouette is it's
Well,
clear,
it would have to be a picture of a setter then, wouldn't it? A setter with a high tail.
right there. Yeah,
No grouse in his mind is going to come anywhere near a good
that's
setter.
right. That's trouble.
Yeah.
That's trouble.
How's your little mutt right now? Year old.
She's good. She does year-old things, and she does things well. So it's right about where you would expect it to be.
Okay,
She's
so you're totally confused, and you don't know what to do next. Then, basically.
Yeah, on any given day, it's like, okay, what dog is coming out with me today? is this the dog that's going to make me think I'm the smartest dog trainer in the world, or make me look like a maniac as I'm
Yelling at yelling always works. What did Justin say when you're planning? Maybe is not a plan.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll come out of the box today hunting. Maybe is not a plan.
Yeah, she's a good pup, and part of that is in jest. As I told you last year, and with being close to home because of COVID, I was really patient with this dog, and we really worked a ton on the basics, and you can see all that.
Yeah.
So with the ability to be home and getting more patient as I get older, she's in a good spot for a year-old dog.
That's good. What did you get to go a few places this year for hunting?
Oh, where did I go? We were up in northern Minnesota for a bit.
Yeah.
And my old setter sounds like he has a hairball. You all right, old man?
I hear
you
that.
Hear him back there? This might be the end. He turned 10 2 weeks ago.
Well, if he dies while we're doing this podcast, this is not going to be good.
I might have to kick him out of here and go sit with my wife.
Just gonna.
What are we talking about? Oh, hunting. Yeah,
where did you go?
Yeah. I spent some time in northern Minnesota in October, which is always a great place to be. And we were in solid numbers of woodcock, and grouse numbers were very good. And killed some of both over that puppy, which at that point she was only about 6 months old. It was just we'll just go have fun, and lo and behold, she started pointing some stuff and doing real well. But we went from there over to the area of Clam Lake, Wisconsin, and filmed an episode of Sporting Classics.
Okay.
On grouse and woodcock hunting and RGS. So that's going to be coming out sometime this year. So we'll be sure to let people know when that comes out. It was a really fun episode to film, and hunting there and around Clam Lake was excellent.
Was there any campfire or guitar music at the end to kind of wrap it up?
As a matter of fact, yeah, we did have campfires every evening, and I did have the guitar out.
You did a little picking?
I did. I don't know if it'll make it might be B-roll somewhere, Ron.
It's gonna end up on the cutting room floor. As much as you always go like, I know Ron's gonna bring up my guitar playing. I know he's gonna bring it up on every podcast, but there's gotta be a little part of you as a musician. Like I'm not a good dog trainer, but when I see some video of my dogs like on the Flush or on Meat Eater, I'm honestly personally pretty like, yeah. So I'm picturing Ben like, no, I'm not getting out the guitar unless I get out the Ham's Light. And then when he watches the show, he's gonna go, they didn't put me on putting the guitar. They didn't even put a couple notes. So yeah, careful what you wish for, because it might end up as just B-roll and on the editing room floor.
Yeah, well, there's just this, for me, this added pressure when the mics are rolling or the cameras rolling.
Oh,
when I'm sitting by the wood stove and just grab the thing,
it's different.
Oh man, absolutely.
Oh, I think pshaw. That's what I say, pshaw.
It was fun. We were around the fire and really nice group of people, and Chris Dorsey was fun to be around. So we'll look forward to that coming out. And it got me into Wisconsin hunting, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Peeled out of there and spent a little bit of time here in Pennsylvania, about a week and a half. And bird numbers here were pretty good. and then went up to northern New York State. So
Okay.
you could see the Canadian border from
Mm-hmm.
where we were up around Malone, New York. One of our board directors has a tremendous property up there. At this point, he has over 1,000 acres, and he's been adding to this by being able to manage the property,
Mm-hmm.
acquiring the properties, doing the management, getting the NRCS contracts, and taking some of that work and the revenue from that work to get the next piece.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome story, Ron, about how you or I could do this. And it's our board director, Bruce Bennett. Just like you and I, he's retired from law enforcement in the Massachusetts Division of Wildlife. So just a regular guy that really took off with this, and through timber revenue and other contracts, has just been building this land, and it is managed beautifully.
Wow.
Really nice ground. So I got to hunt his ground for about 3 or 4 days, and then came back home to Pennsylvania and hunted some more here. And our grouse numbers in Pennsylvania were good. It seems like that coincided with a relatively low West Nile year, or a low mosquito counts for the little buggers that carry West Nile. We had an excessively dry mid and late summer, and it seems to really have helped our birds out here.
We should touch on that, because I've had Lisa on before, and you and I have talked about, in fact, I contacted her, I don't know, probably in December, and she kind of said, well, let me wait till the numbers are in and everything, and maybe this spring I'll get her back on, because but is there a little teaser of that, where that sits with research in West Nile?
Anything that I'm going to offer now is anecdotally, although we did have our upland bird hunt, an RGS gathering in north central Pennsylvania, and Lisa came and talked with us, and she did allude to some of this, and it was really exciting there, because people were seeing bird numbers like they hadn't seen for several years at that hunt. And so then to have those days, and then to see Lisa present and say, what you're seeing is a testament to, if the birds get a little break from West Nile and you have good habitat, you really see the response.
Yeah.
And so she said, here in north central Pennsylvania, the areas you all are hunting have really good habitat. Add just 1 year's break from West Nile, and the response can occur.
Wow.
So it's she's still talking about that same message, that the way to battle West Nile and the impacts is to make sure you've got good habitat.
Well, that's always the case, right? I want to go back to your buddy up north. It sounds like, I would never leave that place. Here's a guy with 1,000 acres, and it's not like a millionaire guy. It's not like a guy that's just writing checks to buy property in Montana. He's like, hey, I can manage this piece of property. I got funding to do this piece of property. It almost just becomes a self-fulfilling habitat project that it pays for itself. And, I don't know why I wasn't invited. I can't explain that. Maybe next year. But
next year, this year, next year?
Oh yeah, that would be this year now.
So have you ever hunted New York or New England?
Yeah, I went up to just a little bit beyond Lake Placid.
Yeah.
And I did a hosted grouse and woodcock hunt up there a few years ago.
Yep.
And on one of the drives, we drove north, and I know we were pretty darn close to Canada.
Yeah.
And there was some good spots. They weren't great. We had a little bit of private, mostly forest lands where they had access. You had to go through the not forest lands, timber company, timber property.
Oh yeah.
And my only takeaway from that was, I was surprised where we found woodcock, and I was like, when I saw a grouse, I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense. But I was seeing woodcock in these areas. I'm like, wait a minute, woodcock are always on. I always think of woodcock coming from Michigan. They're at 600 feet of elevation. The whole damn lower peninsula, right, is about 600 feet.
Yep.
And here we're up in some pretty rocky country and some pretty high country, and woodcock are coming out of the trees. It was a little bit of a shock for me, but yeah, I like that country. It's a little bit slightly more challenging to walk, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But my surprise was the woodcock. I always just thought they kind of stayed, on the low ground, only low ground. And they were up on high ground in wetter areas, but they were there. Yeah.
I was hearing a lot about that. Was the story of this fall, was in many areas the lack of woodcock. And I think for the 3 or 4 days that we were there in upstate New York, we didn't move a single woodcock.
Wow.
So there was a lot of back and forth about that, of things being off kilter with woodcock.
And this is an area that they had been in before.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
this isn't like
numbers.
It's not like the guy said, I can't figure out why we don't have woodcock. It's more like, I don't see why we're not seeing a woodcock. Where did they go? It's like they all got tickets.
Those little places, and these remind me of the dairy farming country at home. That's part of the reason I love this trip so much. You've got this old grown-up orchard with red osier dogwood, and it's like swampy.
Yeah.
You just know there needs to be a woodcock there. And they've had 80 woodcock days.
Wow.
The birds just weren't there this
Is
year.
there any anecdotal or anything else on the woodcock front? Because I haven't heard much about it. I thought there was less woodcock where I hunted, but then other people, you always get that report. Oh, we did great, man. We blah, 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 and no problem. But the spots I went to, I literally, it's really weird. I hunted less last year and I could have hunted more. And I don't know if it was just a Groundhog Day effect. Like, I'll go tomorrow. Same day as today. I'm not working. Yeah. And I literally flittered away an entire season without hitting it hard. So,
yeah.
But the little bit I did get in some of my favorite spots, I absolutely saw less woodcock for whatever reason.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. Of course, we keep close watch on the Eastern Woodcock Migration Study that's going on right now, and you can get a link to that if you go to the Ruffed Grouse Society website where it says grouse and woodcock. Click up there, and you'll see woodcock migration map and be able to see where those little buggers are. So we'll see if that research sheds any light, but it could just simply be in a drier year that they're sticking closer to river corridors and places where there's
it could be in almost, you could take it to they're in spots that you never went and you probably never had permission to sometimes, but they had to get to that food source. So that's where they spent the year.
Like here at home, I mean, the ground was so dry and hard here, there wouldn't have been any ability for them to probe in a lot of the spots right here. So
yeah. What is there a drive going on now? What's membership doing, Ben? Give us a little update on that. What are we doing?
Yeah, we do have a membership drive right now, and quite a deal with some gift certificates on Pike gear, and of course you get a really snazzy 60th anniversary RGS shirt and neck gaiter that hopefully you're not going to have to use as a masking apparatus soon. You can use it to actually warm your neck on your early fall hunts.
Right. Or
but nonetheless, a nice neck gaiter.
Right. I thought those things were going to jump out of this. I thought you were going to see more neck gaiters. Like, I know. I actually did that in the beginning. My daughter gave me one. I'm like, great, I can just kind of wear it. But that was when it was still cool out in the mornings, in March. And then pretty soon I felt like I was starting to have a heat stroke wearing the damn thing.
Yeah.
So what's the deals? What's going on with them?
Well, you can go directly to our website. It's going to appear in a banner up there. But for our conservation membership, you're looking at a $20 gift certificate for some Pike gear. You get the shirt, get the gaiter, of course, the magazine, decal, all that good stuff for your $60 membership. And jumping up a membership level includes a $75 membership plus the shirt and the gaiter and all the other stuff as well. But it's right on a banner. Get it straight from the horse's mouth at the Ruffed Grouse Society website.
Yeah. What I don't want to get like anything on the Debbie Downer side of things, but without the banquets, I think somebody would call me like, Ron, you never even asked them, how did you said it was a surprisingly productive year, even though with all this adversity, you guys adjusted, you changed gears, you did what you had to do, things are moving forward. How about just membership in general? Is that something we've got to besides we always needed to double up on it. How did that fare out?
Yeah, now we need to quadruple up on it because we had a big time decline in membership, and something we realized from the year was just how many memberships came from the events.
Right.
You know, people go to the event, you get your membership, or you re-up automatically when you get your event ticket. Without all those events, it was a hit on membership.
Right.
And also recognizing too, Ron, that contributing to a group like RGS, that's discretionary spending.
Right.
For people. And we can't forget the economic impacts and personal impacts that COVID had over the past year. So when you're seeing those kind of impacts, that discretionary spending goes. I get it. So we did definitely have a membership hit for last year, but we've got the member drive going now, and there's been a ton of interest here early on. We're going to get back up to that base level again when we can have events and still pushing pushing membership. Yeah.
And all the other projects at the same time.
Yep. And getting the word out. It's so important and so great to have Ashley Peters on with us. The most important thing is letting people know what membership, what it means.
Right.
For birds and for habitat and good places to hunt, and getting the word out about what people like Nick B. Miller, John Staggerwald, Todd Waldron are doing. And I think that I've got faith that the rest of it comes when you're just getting that word out about all the work that you're doing. The membership will come.
I want to turn back to the dog again. You mentioned, I'm sorry, you mentioned your old dog. I can't remember. Is your old dog also a setter, Ben?
He is.
Okay. And he's on his, not on last leg, but he's.
Oh my God, buddy. I'm sorry. Don't listen.
He's hacking up fur balls in the corner. So.
He's laying there spread eagle right now, Ron.
He's just like,
you, babe.
Well, give him a rub on the belly for me. Give him a rub on the belly.
Yeah, he's a setter as well.
You know, I'm looking forward to doing what you came out for. I want to get as soon as it's able, and again, outside facility, I want to get another, like an RGS BHA pint night again. And,
yes, please.
Yeah. And please. Well, last year we had with MUCC, we were going to do a big indoor-outdoor venue with a film fest, and then boom, right during all the meetings, same thing. But we haven't re-erected that. We haven't resurrected that yet. But I think everybody's chomping at the bit, and I would think we could get. But we can't get back to just normal. We can't get back to where we were. We got to get beyond where we were.
Yeah. I had to send a message. Somebody was getting ahead of themselves with wanting to plan an event earlier today. I was like, forgive me for being reluctant to jump right into event planning again, but we're still pretty cautious. Yeah. But somewhere here in the next 6 or 8 months, I'm confident it's going to blow wide open. And I didn't realize this, but here, talk about it now, that the Roaring 20s was somewhat a result of the flu pandemic of
the Spanish flu.
Yeah, 2018, 2019.
I did hear that analogy the other day on a news show that
we rip up a Roaring 20s. I'm all in.
I'm all in. I'm going to get one of them. I'm going to wear one of them hats that they all wore, like I'll look like one of those old writers that, wrote about grouse hunting in the, turn of the century. I'm going to start hunting with a little necktie on. I'm going all Roaring 20s.
That'll suit you. You need a neck gaiter, man. Forget that.
Well, neck gaiter. I bet you I know a guy.
You can wear the hat, but put on that RGS neck gaiter, will you?
Yes. I'll put on the RGS neck gaiter. Did you guys come up with the RGS face mask, or did you stay off that program?
No, there were some floating about. Very attractive. It was a black face mask with the white grouse and the woodcock. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And you wore it proudly.
I actually didn't get one. Something needs to happen. You know what? I don't have the current member drive shirt either. I'm like the last one to see all this stuff. Forget it. I should have a direct line to the most current merch here.
That stuff should come across your desk first and
I
then
know.
go out to the masses.
We'll get on these calls and I'll see our regional directors. I'm like, that's a sweet shirt. Where'd you get that? Oh, we've had this on the store for like a month. What? As Mark Fouts, our director in Minnesota, likes to say, what's my name? Skip? Call me Skip.
Skip right over them.
People.
Well, Ben, I think, I'm glad you came on. I wanted to catch up. It sounds like, I don't want to be overly optimistic, but I'm never really pessimistic. And sounds like we're going to have, we're going forward in good ways.
Yeah, we're in a good spot. We did come through stronger than we entered. There's still plenty of work to do. Lots of unknowns, but we're good for it. RGS is going to be stronger going forward for sure.
I could probably sell this if you picked up your guitar, but I know it's early and you just had coffee, so we're not even. I'm not going to ask you. I mean, if you had it in your hand and it was next to you, we could do it. But I understand it's probably in the other room by the wood stove.
All true.
Close this show out with a little guitar music, but that's okay.
We'll do it for the next time. That'll be the selling point to join us the next time.
All right. Well, I'll deal with that. And
before we go, for all the
please.
listeners that continued support through 2020 or that have already climbed onto this member drive and are going to come to events and support us over the next year, thank you. Thank you a whole bunch. Because all this, we don't do any of this without our members and supporters. So that's all there is to that.
Just one big giant thank you for everybody who did what they could do.
For sure, man. Absolutely.
Well, right from the top, from command module in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, here it is.
As I call him, the doc, Ben Jones from the Ruffed Grouse Society. I appreciate it, Ben.
Thanks for having me on.
I will get this out. I will do some more pleading and begging.
Good.
And hopefully the next time we meet will be, actually, I'm coming through in April. I don't know what you're doing in April, but I'm coming through in April. I got to go down to the house in Virginia. Oh, and then maybe a dove hunt again, maybe in September.
Good. Roaring 20s. I'm looking forward to blowing this wide open again.
We can go dancing and the girls will be wearing flapper dresses. I'll wear I'll tell you what.
Oh no.
I will. If we get a membership number, I will do an Instagram post of me in a flapper dress for the Roaring 20s.
Give me the number, Ron. What is the number?
I need to get 100 members driven through the podcast. If I can get 100 new members through the podcast between here and our dove hunt, I will dove hunt in a flapper dress.
Wow.
I'm not going to say I'm going to get my hair done, but I will dove hunt in a flapper dress if you bring the guitar.
100, that's a chip shot for this podcast.
Well, I know, but I don't know how many more I can. I'll look into it. I'll put some links on my Patreon platform. We've got the new Upland Institute project coming through with RGS is helping us out with some space, and there'll be little partnerships there. All right. See, I want to set the bar low. I want it to go over 100, but I really want to wear the flapper dress. Okay.
Clearly.
You know that's where I'm going, Ben.
Yes, I do.
I mean, why wouldn't I show up at a dove hunt in a flapper dress?
Yep.
All right, let me hit pause here. All right.